own broker. Going over negotiating offers. She's a sharp one, so make sure you listen. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Of course.
So they can leave me alone for an hour. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see your beautiful faces today. So today's Friday, TGIF. Any plans for the weekend? Work? Showing houses?
I got a lot of plans.
Yeah?
I don't know if they
Open
all
houses?
No. No.
No?
No.
Who's doing open houses this weekend? No one? Yeah? Where at?
Sunday, is on East Palmdale, R10. One of our agents, her house is on.
R10? How much is it? How much is the house?
Tell you the truth, she just called yesterday, I didn't get it. But I think it's in the fives, because I've done it before, and she had it at 565.
Oh,
So we need to get it.
real estate calls? I've been in the middle. Oh, okay. You should. Go ahead. Does it work in like early in the morning? Who does early in the mornings?
The floor time?
Mm-hmm. Like, have you done both like early mornings and afternoons?
You have to go on there and pick your time.
I know, but like, have the ones that you've scheduled with, like, which one works better, morning or afternoon?
I like around 11 to 2.
Oh, so mid-morning for you.
For me. Because I'm here, you know.
Settled in,
Yeah.
locked in.
Yeah. What was your name, sir?
Exciting.
Saidi?
Exciting.
Saidi. Welcome, Saidi. Well, my third person is gone, but my name is Wendy. I am your advising broker here at the office. I've been in the business for 21 years. I actually had an idea to do like a photo op with 21,
Yeah.
right?
That's
I
fine.
saw an idea from some other real estate agent, and I was like, that would be actually cute. They'll probably think I'm 21.
Is that your anniversary coming up, or is it?
Yeah. Well, I just turned 21 in July.
Yeah, you should ask anniversary, 21 years.
Right?
It's a big thing. Yeah.
So in my 21 years, I've seen a lot. I've tapped into different markets. I started here in Palmdale, and then I ventured over to the Valley, LA, and down to Orange County. And then from Orange County, it's like a full circle. I went to Orange County and then came right back up. But what I learned in that is that there's different strategies, there's different dynamics. So if you ever have an agent or if you ever have a client outside of here, it's always best. You can still use the foundations that we're learning today, but keep in mind that the markets are different.
Mm-hmm.
So what I could say that I learned is that, for example, out here, we're so accustomed to asking for closing costs, and you really don't see that a lot down south. Yeah, you see more. They're more competitive. They have a lot more like strategies. What I learned is that in real estate, anything is negotiable. You can negotiate everything. So we don't have like a set timelines of exactly how you're supposed to negotiate. But what I did learn is that every situation is different, but you can negotiate anything. How long have you been in the business?
Like a year.
A year? And you, Mom?
Just about the same.
About a
We
year.
came in around about the same time.
Oh, okay. So you knew.
Yeah.
Uh,
babies.
do I install?
I think
You can
Clara said last
either
time
one
renew,
of
and
them.
then once you hit renew, like just hit the X or yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Okay.
go.
Cool. I was like, oh snap. So you both started around the same time. So a year old. You guys are baby.
It's not quite a year yet. It'll be a year for me in December, I believe.
Okay. And so far, any offers? Have you guys submitted anything? Closed anything?
No, I keep getting right there. I
Okay.
keep getting right there, just like I had one in LA or Compton area, and I tried to refer because the person doesn't know whether she wanted to come up here or down there. Because family's up here and family's down there, and she wants to retire within 2 years, but she's still working 2 more years and have grandchildren she's raising. So she is more confused, and I was trying to help her straighten it out because I let her know she's going to get more up here. If she's retired, it's okay. She's going to get more for her money up here. But I think she's still holding on down there because her grandkids are in school and in football and stuff like that.
And she's really involved with her grandkids?
Oh, yeah, she's raising
Okay.
them. Yeah.
Well, one of the topics today is that knowing what is their goals,
Yeah.
what is their in negotiating offers. It's not just numbers. It's a lot to do with knowing the client, studying the client, whether it's the seller or the buyer. So you need to know like which part are you playing? Are you defense or offense? And knowing that part of it. So far, and we can talk about it later on how we can help your client and motivating her. Because a lot of the times it's a lot of coaching and a lot of motivating to your client, finding out exactly what is the root of it. Why is it that they even brought up wanting to buy a house? Because then, once you know what's going on, you're able to tell them, well, like for example, you said, well, hey, if you move to Antelope Valley, you can get more for your money. This house is 800,000, but it's only 11,000 square feet. You can get something for 5 for 15. And so showing her, letting them know like why this would be an investment, why would this be a good investment, opening their eyes, but also to focusing on the goal. So her goal is to retire and not have that big payment.
I should tell you, she's a relative. And she wasn't telling me she gives me a little bit every time, and see, she's down there, and she doesn't get off of work, and she takes her grandkids to football practice, so when we have time to talk, it's 9 o'clock at night. And what I just found out too is that, well, she's on apartment, but now she's thinking about getting a Section 8 house or something, I don't know. It's just somebody else is talking to her. Now, I asked her, did she have an agent? No. But somebody else is talking to her, because every time I talk to her and get her on the same page, she comes back and then says something else. Now she's looking for foreclosures or something like that, or some type of program where they'll fix it up for you. They do have that in Compton, I do know that, where they will pay you
Good morning.
to fix it up,
Okay.
So she keeps going. Somebody's advising her too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of your challenges right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to happen a lot. You're going to have the buyer. Right now, before it used to be the uncle, the mom,
Yeah.
the auntie, the cousin of how they bought. And this is what happened when they bought. And so how come I'm not getting what they got and the deals that they got? And now it's a little bit worse because now they got social media.
Yeah.
So people are doing videos. But the video that I'm making here and I'm in Texas is not what's happening in California. So I always educate my clients in telling them, know your market. Let me explain to you what's going on. I see these numbers every day. So it's a lot of like making them fall in love with you again. You have to explain to them again, well, when your auntie bought 25 years ago, the rates were this, the market was this. So that's a challenge that we will all have. It's just a matter of you coming to them with facts and letting them know this is what's happening now. Real estate changes, it feels like every week sometimes, every 2 weeks. It's like a wave. So the wave, for example, the way that we were negotiating back during COVID days, which is already 5 years, crazy. 5 years. It feels like it just happened yesterday. But the way that you were negotiating then is not how you negotiate now. So it also has to do with knowing your market. So just so I get familiarized with everybody, if you can just tell me your name and how long you've been in the business. So we'll start with you.
Saidi Lopez, and then about a year, or
About
a
a year.
year, and yeah.
Okay. Welcome.
Jarita Willis, and joined last year, and I think it was either the end of November or December, and so.
So under a year.
Yeah.
Sarah, okay, I've been actively since '96, and I've gone through REOs and short foreclosures and short sales and that kind of stuff.
Clara, you've seen a lot.
Even with my own house.
But you know what? I will say that keep this as a huge example, because although she's been in the business, 30 years now? 30, a little over 30 years? She still comes. Why, Clara?
Because every day I find out something new.
Every day,
I don't know everything.
every day is evolving. Now, back in '96, there was a lot more gatekeeping. Nobody really told you how to negotiate, how to strategize, how to show a house, how to do an open house. It was a lot more reserved, and people were less willing to help.
Yeah, you were on your own.
You were on your own. You had to figure it out. Now there's so much at your disposal. Now you have ChatGPT. So, but even then, everything still evolves. So me myself, I came and sat down at Tom's class in sellers, and just picked his brain on how he does his sales, because how he does is not how I do, and vice versa, right? But you learn. So it's always good to keep coming, just because of that factor is that we're always changing. And all of a sudden you'll feel like, oh my gosh, that now popped up, or this form popped up, so we're constantly, giving each other advice on how we do things. But even then, even though she has 30 plus years, she still comes. Why? Because all these systems change all the time. Also based on the wave of the market and how people are. And you?
Interesting button, and like about a year and a half, just kind of on and off.
So we have 3 newbies and a veteran. Well, welcome, guys. Okay, well, any other challenges that you guys want to talk about? Recent challenges, even though maybe you haven't sold anything yet, but maybe submitted offers. Have any questions before we get started? Have you submitted any offers yet? Helped any buyers yet? No? Okay, and you know?
I actually submitted an offer 2 days ago.
Oh, good.
2 days ago, and he responded yesterday with like a counter offer.
Okay, what did your counter say?
So we put an offer 465, and then like paid closing, and he responded 470 and 65 in closing, or something.
Okay.
So, but the house is listed at 465, but it's been on the market for 100 days.
Okay.
100 plus days. So I let my client know, so she said she was gonna think.
So, is there other offers?
Is there another offer?
Is there multiple offers on the property yet? Because even though our market is kind of slow, but the right, I know it has 100 days, but listed right, they still sell fairly quickly. I've encountered some that I'm like, oh, you have 5 days and you already have another offer, so you have competition.
Yeah.
But in that case, that would be, so you negotiate a price, you drop the price. How much did you say?
So it's listed at 465, so
Okay.
we offered 465, but paying closing costs.
Oh, okay.
And he
So he put the closing cost on top, is what he did.
He countered offer 470 and only 60.
So he raised it.
He raised it because he put the closing cost on top of the sales price. Yeah.
Like doing the portion, right, that he's gonna give. That's what he raised the price on the house.
Yeah. The closing cost was put on top. That's why he raised it.
Yeah.
Versus just
What is
accepting.
usually the closing cost? How much is it?
It depends on the house, right?
It depends on the house,
What
but
it
I always
sells for.
give them about like a 3% window for closing, because you have taxes, insurance. So it's typically about 10,000 for closing costs and then their down payment.
Okay.
Yeah. But in this case, that's what happened. He put the closing costs on top of the offer,
Yeah.
on top of the price. Okay.
And that's typical, isn't it?
It depends on the market. So in this case, did you ask any questions to the listing agent about the seller's motivation?
Yeah. So he wants to sell the house now because it's been on the market for so long, and he's even thinking about renting the property. So he's like,
Have they reduced the price
Yeah,
within the 100
it
days?
was like, it was in like 5 something. They've reduced it like a lot of times.
So are you gonna counter back?
Um, she's gonna go see another house in Rosamond. They're like the same layout, and so she's like, I want to go see this one, and I said okay. So she's gonna think about it.
So we're gonna touch on those
I know,
things
yeah.
because you have to remember like what is the seller's motivation. And in this case, if you were the listing agent, what would you have done? Because this or this seller is about to lose that buyer.
Yeah, I would talk to the seller, I would talk to my client and discuss the climate of the market right now. Did you say it's been on the market for a long time?
It's been on the market for 100 days, and she gave them, at least she did,
Offered.
she offered the full price of what it is right now, and then asked for cost.
For cost, yeah,
But what this agent did was countered and put the cost on top,
right.
which is normal. We see that. But in the market that we're in, now that seller is in the verge of losing your buyer because now your buyer was like, well, I'm going to go somewhere else where I can get what I want,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But as the seller, what would you negotiate?
I would negotiate the other, I would look at what about termite and things like that? Did your client ask for any repairs or anything like that?
No. No.
Oh, well, no, because you haven't gotten it accepted yet.
Yeah,
No, but in your offer,
But in
did you
your-
negotiate other things?
I think just. I gotta go back and look.
Like timelines, inspections?
Yeah.
Because there's a window when you know when to ask for the whole shebang, and then there's times where you're like, man, I gotta cut timelines because now you competed against other offers. So sometimes, what is our contingency periods?
17 days.
Okay, so part of your negotiating could be dropping those days and put 10 days, inspections in 5 days.
Oh,
And so
okay.
things like that, you can also negotiate in your offer. But right now, you're in a market, especially, so you did good, considering the house has been there for a while, it hasn't moved, there's no offers, it's been reduced. You could have asked for, everything and some. But it also depends also on that agent, so whoever's representing him. Knowing the dynamics, and that's why it's important that you're always consistently looking at the market because it's always changing. So, you three are new during COVID, but
I would advise my client to really take a look at, first of all, go through his motivation. What will happen, you've had the property on the market for 100 days. With the way that the market is right now, we don't know how much longer it will be before we get another offer. Are you willing to wait for that? How much is he paying a month? Because every month that goes by is another mortgage payment he has to make.
so this is seller's view. That's what I want you guys to see. This is the seller's view. You're the buyer's side. That would be the seller's view. So this agent, by doing that, they're risking losing this buyer now because again, we don't know when another buyer is going to come through and see it. Also, we don't know how long the house is going to stay in the market. And we're in August, so we have out here August, September still good, October. After Halloween, it's very calm. People are starting to get ready for the holidays. Some are going out of town. Vacation time is happening. Typically, on Thanksgiving, they leave for a week. So we lose almost a whole month between holidays and people on vacation towards the end of October. So this house, I'm just saying, figuratively speaking, if this one doesn't go through, they also got to think ahead. That's one of the points that I would have said to the seller. Also think that we're heading almost towards the end. We're already in August. We only have maybe 2 more months of the movement during the summer. Then during the fall and winter seasons, things tend to slow down. Kids go back to school. Everybody's, right now still people are on vacation, but they have more flexibility than during the winter. But your point, Clara, that's something that I would suggest on the seller. Find the motivation so that you don't lose But again, it's case by case.
For the buyers, depending on what you're asking in the offer, and again, discuss with the listing agent, and, and also the fact that it's going to, from the seller side also, kids are back to school, so that, that stops kind of everything. But look at what you're asking.
Would she say that to the seller agent when she's talking, negotiating? Would she say that to that agent?
What?
Would you guys just talked about the market and blah blah?
Like maybe telling them that
So-
it's gonna start getting slow and stuff like that?
You can't?
No,
Oh,
when
no.
the hair's out, you're
I'm
good.
sorry.
Much better now.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Have you talked
I want to
about-
set her up for greatness, you know?
Have you discussed with the lender also something about the closing costs? Maybe they can get the client maybe a discount or something, or some credit?
That's always a thing too. Like if you're short or you need some, help or whatever, your source would be the lender. But like I said, typically it's 3% for cost. So sometimes we could talk to the listing agent, but in this industry it's very, some are open-minded, some are like, I know what I'm doing. So, but you can say, you know what, I don't know, my buyer's not really feeling this counter, what is your seller's motivation? Do they really want to move forward or not? But you can also touch those questions before submitting an offer. And we'll get into that. I just kind of wanted to see your challenges before we get started so I can address some of them as we move along. Yes,
So
Manda?
sorry. Final thing. I forgot to set up this so you can just click through it. There you go.
So we'll discuss what negotiation is, the 3 P's of negotiation, negotiation tips, any ahas, and then your daily system, your daily success system. So Clara, could you read our quote, please?
Negotiating is not something to be avoided or feared. It's an everyday part of life.
What does that mean to you? See.
Well, just like everything could be negotiated. So if your client wants something, make it happen.
But it says in everyday part of life. So what else do we negotiate?
A lot of things, like even when you're calling to make an appointment for yourself, like a doctor's appointment or whatever, and the reception says, I have 3 o'clock, I have 6 o'clock, and you say, no, I'll take, do you have anything around 11? No, well, what about another day? So you're negotiating in favor of yourself and your time. So, just about everything that you do in life, you really especially if it's with another person, even with yourself sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Scheduling yourself and go, no, I can't do that today. I can't talk to that person right now. I'll wait until this afternoon. Like I had something to do this morning. My landline is out. And they told me I could call to see if I could fix it. I'm like, I don't have time to talk to you right now. I'll talk to you later,
Yeah. What are some limited beliefs that you have with negotiating? If there's any limited beliefs.
I don't believe that everything is in stone. Even the law, when you go. I've been kind of thinking about this. I liked a lot of the judge shows and stuff.
Uh-huh. You've
And
been learning from Judge Judy?
Oh, especially her.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's why I say justice is blind. Because it's subject to the person who's interpreting the law. It for like Judge Judy, like yesterday, the woman lost the case because she don't like people that don't have insurance, even though the other guy was in fault. And I'm like, okay. but that's her courtroom. That's the way she interpreted the law. If that girl was in another courtroom, they would have said, well, yeah, you didn't, even though she didn't have insurance and you should have had insurance, but you're in the fault, so you're gonna pay. But no, she didn't even, you know. So I learned
The
that.
perfect example.
Yeah,
It's negotiated.
yeah.
Anything, if there's anything that you could take out of this class, is anything can be negotiated. Even if your terms are in the MLS and says, it's A, B, and C. It's, yes, you see that, but you see what else you can negotiate with it. The price is not set in stone. Nothing is set in stone. What about when you buy a car?
Oh, definitely, it's not set in stone. I just bought a car.
What'd you buy?
I bought a Toyota Corona across Sports.
And did you negotiate warranty,
Oh,
credits? What'd
well,
you get?
Okay, let me tell you this. I had a Prius.
Oh, okay.
You know
I-
those cars, they're like the number one car that cuts me off.
Well,
I can't stand the
you
Prius.
can't stand it. I had that car for 17 years.
Oh,
Just about 17.
You were probably one of them.
And they,
say what? What did you say?
You were probably one of them.
no, I don't. I'm a very good driver.
Okay, yeah, I have no idea.
But they were still in the catalytic converters, right? So I had to get that fixed. Insurance paid for it. Then that battery went out. Guy told me a long time ago, if the battery go out, that's a horrible car, you might as well get rid of it. It's not working, right? So I had to negotiate with Toyota because the car's not working. But I said to them, hey, my car, if it was working, it's been $12,000. Yeah, but it's not running. I know it's not running, but I only had 66,000 miles on that engine. What? Yeah. And I only brought it to you. And there's no scratches there. I want bells and whistles on my car. Don't you think I deserve it? No, he didn't think I deserved it, but I told him. I said, I'm buying a car, and it depends on who's going to sell it to me. You or CarMax, you make up your mind.
See?
And I got my bells and whistles.
See? Have you ever negotiated when you bought a car?
No, I haven't. I haven't bought a new car.
Oh, no. But even resale. Have you bought a resale car?
Yeah,
Like a
you know
used
what?
car?
I did. I just recently bought one, I think 2.5 years ago. So I was able to bring it down like maybe $1,000.
Bro. My brother's ruthless, and he loves cars. He used to flip cars. And he would get some crazy deals. He rolls up like in not a brand new, but in a very good condition Acura, and he'd be like, oh, I got this one for $3. I said, how much was it listed? He's like, $6. But you got to find out the source. You got to find out the motivation. So for next time, you can negotiate more, knowing, oh, so why are you selling this car? Oh, okay, you need it for, I don't know, to pay something, a student loan, something. But, oh, okay, well, I'll give you, X. But you can negotiate everything once you find what the hot button is. And that's with any of your clients.
And they don't want you to walk out of here. Have you ever negotiated a car deal where they paid the tax and the license?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only done that once.
Done
I
it.
try to work my magic with Mercedes, and Mercedes they're special.
But you gotta be willing to walk away. I haven't even walked out. And got in the car and then they called me back.
Dang, whose car is that?
That sounds like they're
That's
going for
Brandon.
something.
Is it Brandon? Is it a bike or is it a car?
He has a BMW two-door.
Oh, that. Well, okay,
You must-
moving forward.
He wants to make sure everybody knows
He's leaving when he arrives. Okay, so we talked about, negotiation. And so, how important do you think negotiation is for your job?
That was very important.
It's your main source. Because that's what's going to make you to have sales or not. Because you could submit offers all day. But if you don't know the art and how to get to negotiating, you're never going to get anything accepted. And that happens a lot. And trust me, when I first started, I remember I think I submitted like 15 offers for a client. And I couldn't get her in until she quit. She's like, you know what, maybe it's not meant for me to buy. And I'm like, no, after all the work that I invested. So in my early years, I had trouble figuring it out. And over time, I learned. I needed to know the hot button. What is it? What's the core that's going to get them to move? Because whenever they try to cancel or go away, you got to bring them back. Remember, you're buying it because your daughter wants to have her own room and this and that. She doesn't want to share. You touch them where it hurts, in a sense.
That's the most part about, being an agent. Negotiating with my money, I know what I'm not gonna do and stuff. It's negotiating for someone else that might be a little touchy.
Like, for example, for your counter, ask well, the makeup of your buyer. So can your buyer accept that? Does your buyer even qualify for that? You see? So can she go at 470 or she's maxed out at 465? So then that's when you go back to that agent and be like, hey, my client only qualifies for this. You raising the price is killing our deal. So what's up?
Yeah,
So,
because I mean, she can go 470. That's it. But she's kind of short, like she has just the exact down payment.
yeah, see?
And
But
so-
now at 470, that changes things because every 10, well, that's 5,000 more, but it changes now, so she's going to have to come out of more pocket. So this is where you can go back to that agent and say, hey, is your seller set on that price? Because my client doesn't qualify for that much, or whatever the case. You don't always have to overshare with these agents, but you're defending your buyer. So I kind of sometimes treat their money as my money, so I'm like, no, I can't do 465. So they're going to start looking at other houses. So she's going to follow up. That agent's going to follow up with you. And this is where you say, am I in trouble?
What?
Am I in trouble? Why are you here?
The principals of the class.
I'm okay with
No, I'm
it.
gonna drop it in real quick.
When she follows up with you, this is where you can also play hardball and be like, oh, we're going to take a look at other properties. If that agent knows the drill, what would you do, Clara, if you follow up and the agent tells you, no, we're going to look at other houses this weekend?
Well, I would ask him, now, do you like the house? Do you really want this house?
Well, no, you're the seller. You're
Oh,
the
I'm the
listing
seller.
agent. So you're going to follow up with her and you're going to be like, where's the counter? Have you signed the counter?
Oh, okay.
And she's going to tell you, we're going to look at other offers. We're going to look at other houses this weekend.
Okay, now, why is it that you want to look at other houses? But you see, we already looked at the offer. I think the offer that you brought me was fair, but my client, also, we need to make this a win-win situation. What else can we do to help you get the house?
Your response? I'm preparing you because that's going to happen. She's going to ask for an update why that counter's not signed. And then you're going to tell her, we're going to look at houses this weekend, which you are.
Okay, yeah.
We're not lying.
Uh-huh.
We're cursing here. But then Clara is going to tell you, well, what does your buyer need? All of a sudden, you just created an urgency by saying, I'm going to look at other houses.
Okay.
So now she knows, if she's a good agent, she's going to know, okay, I'm about to lose this buyer. She's going to come back and say, well, what does your buyer need?
Oh, I'll be like, well, she's like really tight on money, and like, how would I word it? Like, maybe like, getting help, like with the closing costs.
Okay. How much, Clara?
Well, my client really needs, in order to move, he needs to get a certain amount, a certain profit out of the house. But, we could sit down and try to figure out if there's anything else that can be done through your lender maybe, or, I can discuss it with my client as well.
Don't be shy. And you're going to say,
So, I really appreciate you, responding back to me, but my clients really want to make sure that they get the house they love. And so that's why we're going to go and look at a couple more houses. My clients love your client's house, but we want to make sure all of our options are out there. And especially with with my client's tight budget, we want to make sure that they're in the right position to buy.
Great answer. That's how you will start responding. You got to come in strong. You got to come in confident because you're the representative, right?
Okay, yeah.
So that's how you will respond. My client is this and this and this. My client needs closing costs, and this is our max. Play hardball. Sometimes you can just be like, I'm sorry, man, but my client can only do 465, and we need all the help we can get. I already spoke with the lender. We're doing all that we can to make this work. I said, so if your seller's willing to accept the offer, then we're good, but this counter doesn't work for us. But go back to your client and say, how bad do you want this house? So then you also know how much you gotta negotiate. If your client says, well, you know what, the backyard is small a little bit, like if she's playing hard to get with this particular house, they'll go, what did you love about this house? Well, I really didn't care for it. It's just that it's been on the market for a while, so I wanted to see if I can get it a deal. So she's not really invested in the house.
No, like, well, in this case, she is invested. She was like, 470 is not that bad, but I would like to get the closing costs. So she loved, they like this house.
So, do you want to go show more houses?
This one?
The answer is no.
It's not.
You do not want to go see, you do not want to show any more houses.
Yeah.
So this is where you got to come in strong. When that agent comes back and says, yo, where's the counter? Then you tell her, well, this is what I need. And you're in the position because of the market. You can go back and also throw that back into the seller. Say, you know what, Miss Listing Agent? Well, the house has been on the market for 100 days. So, is your seller going to let this offer go, or are they going to work with us? Like, what's your client's motivation? Because this is what's going on. My client only can do 465, and these are what I have on my original offer is what my buyer needs. Is your seller going to go for it, or are they just going to wait for another offer? Because if that's the case, then we're going to move on to the next investment.
If you don't know there's another offer, can you ask them? Are there other offers?
Yes, and we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
Let me go back to the WI 4C2.
I'm looking at it like a basketball game.
Yes,
The ball
yes.
is in your court.
Yes.
You know.
And my goal is to
Yeah.
make you confident agents on how to negotiate, because you cannot show weakness
Yeah.
in either side. Yes, Kevin.
So one thing I used to do, and I'm still doing now, is when I'm writing an offer for a buyer, I always include a letter explaining to the listing agent so they can share with their sellers about my client, because a lot of it is emotional too. So I've had a lot of clients pass on higher offers, better deals, because they wanted to give it to that people that had kids or loved the house or whatever the situation was. We were able to make a better deal because of the story I told the seller, right, as a buyer's agent.
That is a great strategy, and I've used it myself. But you know how Carr and NAR just like to kill and rain on our parade? Because of fair housing laws, some agents won't present won't present the letter. And they'll tell you, you're going to send me a letter that this veteran, that he, went and fought in battle and came back, and now he's buying his dream home after he's fought 8 years in whatever war. So that emotional, and then you have, this buyer that's just, he just had a baby.
Right.
But I am a hardcore American, and so I'm gonna go for the VA.
Right.
You see how that can flip?
Yeah.
However, his strategy though, whenever you submit your offer, don't just say, hey Clara, here's my offer. Let me know what you think. In that email, you could take the opportunity to write key things about your client. We loved the house. The buyers are in love with the backyard. It's perfect for their 2 kids. They want this to be their forever home. This is their first home. They use all the state, I don't know, milk it. Key little notes, little things on there that she knows, okay, this buyer is really interested in it. It's not an investor that's going to just fall off and not care about the
I'm sorry,
sell. Go ahead.
I can't, this thing is bugging me, and it is a bug.
Oh, cockroach.
Is it
It's a
live?
water bug?
No,
Girl.
No, it's a cockroach.
I'm sorry.
It's because we just
But
sprayed.
I'm.
You should have seen Kevin.
Yeah.
I'm,
He's coming back today to spray again, because he sprayed once, they're all mad now, and now he's gonna come back and kill it.
That came in when the guy
I was
was
scared that the thing is
Yeah.
gonna come around me.
Girl,
And
I
I
would
had
have been
to
the
attack.
first one to run
I had to
out.
attack first.
I can't stand bugs, especially water bugs.
Another key thing
This is not a water.
I do as well, is like, with your situation, it'd be like, hey, do you feel like your seller deserves a sold sign in front of their house? If you're battling over that, like, well, yeah, and so do I. And we're trying to get to that point where we can get that sold for you and your client. And so this is the offer, that we're at. But that always triggers something in them. I've always found that, like, hey, do you feel like your client deserves a sold sign in front of their house?
You can also sell them again to the listing agent and say, we can close this in 30 days or less. My buyer's already ready. They're strong. They have strong income, strong FICO. We're ready to close. Does your seller want to do another payment, or are they ready to go? So you can, but you get that before you submit, and we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So who knows Keller Williams' motto of the WI4C2Ts?
Win-win, no deal.
So can we all say it together?
Win.
Win-win or no deal. Integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication, seek to understand. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. Equity, opportunities for all. Success results through people. Keep your emotions in control. But this model helps us. Helps us a lot in negotiating. But also give people grace. The whole point is, the objective is to close. Close on the client, right? And I get so emotional. What I do is I put myself in their shoes. What is it that they need? Why are we here? So you can always go back to your client, but well, they countered you this. Do you have an extra 5,000 that you can make this work, or are you maxed out? Finding those details help. So the path of negotiation, there are two options after an offer is accepted. You have an offer, accepted, and closed. Your option 2, which is where you're at, is you have an offer, it either gets rejected or you get countered. If you get countered, you go to negotiation. If you negotiate with you counter back, then you either get an acceptance or reject it. If you get an acceptance, you close. So, writing our clean offers, obviously we always want option 1. But option 2 is not a bad thing. It's just the start of negotiations. So you negotiate with your clients and the other agent on the other side. We kind of went through a lot of our challenges in the beginning, but reiterating, you negotiate with your buyer because you want to find out what it is that's their motivation. And you also negotiate with the seller's agent, or vice versa. You find out with your with your seller what's their motivation, so when you do get an offer, you start negotiating with that agent. So what do you think gets negotiated in a transaction? Price and the terms. Pricing is like what you did. You focused on the factors. How long it's been on the market? Is there any other offers? Because even though it's been 100 days on the market, but she had 2 offers. what would you have done? I forgot your name, Sue. What's your name? Andrew. Andrew, the house is on the market for 100 days, but there's 2 offers now. House is listed at 465. As a buyer's agent, what would you do?
Well, I've never actually been through this, but
So I'm your buyer, and we saw a house, and the house is listed for 465, and you found out from the listing agent that there's 2 offers on the house now, but you saw in the MLS that the house has been there for 100 days. How would you submit your offer now?
I'm not sure how to go about that.
Okay, this is why these classes are very important. One of your main keys before submitting your offer is always ask the listing agent. Now, some listing agents will freely give you information. Some are more open. Some are more transparent than others. But you can still ask. It does not hurt to ask. Remember, who asks the most questions controls the situation, controls the conversation. So as a buyer's agent, ask that listing agent. So how many offers you have? 2. Okay. Are they higher than the asking price? No. Some will tell you no. Some will tell you, yes, I have above asking. That now lets you know, so when you go to your buyer and you say, okay, Mr. Buyer, this house is 465, but now there's 2 offers on here. And one of them is above asking and one isn't. So, with me telling you that, one offer is above asking and one is under. How would you submit your offer now?
Probably at the price they have listed.
Now, are you going to put costs or no costs? Are you going to ask for closing costs? No. But you're going to submit it at 465, even though there's one already above asking.
No.
No what? You would submit it at the asking price, or would you go above it?
Above it.
Okay. Good answer. Perfect. So part of before submitting your offers, that's your key, is to ask questions to that agent. Find out. Even in today's market, where houses are 60 to 90 days on the market, still ask, how many offers do you have on the table? No offers? Then you can go all out when there's no offers. You can ask for everything. But if there is already even one offer, I've seen deals being lost over $500 because the right questions were not asked. So in your case, now you have one offer that is above. But given that the market is the way that it is, always try to see, okay, maybe that agent went maybe 5 or 10 above asking, which is the standard out here. 5 or above asking price. So now you're at 475, 470, right? So then you can ask your buyer, okay, there's one offer. How much do you love this house? Oh, Andrew, I want this house. I want you to make this happen. So now we go to terms, either financial or time-based or both. So if your buyer can't go above that, like let's say 480, you can also negotiate other things. What is another good thing, Clara, that you can negotiate beside that can make your offer stronger?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't, if my client doesn't need closing costs, I would remove the closing costs. I would give a different time frame for closing. I could close sooner. And as a matter of fact, I would make sure that the listing agent has already familiarized herself with the lender, that, the proof of funds, be able to show that we're ready to go, and we can move in anytime. How long does your client need?
There you
How
go.
soon do they want to move?
Yes. Those questions are good to ask the listing agent before you submit your offer. Because between you two, where do you get the timeline? How do you know that you can close less than 30 days? Who would you go to for that information?
The lender.
The lender. The lender will tell you. You can ask them and say, hey, can you do less than 30 days? Oh yeah, I can do 20. And it's happened. What's it called? My record is 17 days close. So it's possible. Nothing is set in stone. Remember that. You can negotiate everything. But price, obviously, is always the main concern. But how do you find out how you can negotiate is finding out what the seller's needs are. Like she said, well, what's their motivation? Well, they're moving out of state, but they need to orchestrate how they're going to move, so I might need 45 days. Perfect. So then what do? You write 45 days on your offer. Sometimes they want a faster close. Okay, I can do it in less than 30 days. I'll put 25 days. Now, that will set you apart from another offer that put 30 days, because that's what the agents are going to look at. All the information and all the details that are in your first 2 pages is what's going to make and break you. Pricing, deposit, timeline, closing costs or not. Right now is commission or not. So that's another negotiating factor. That one day we may get there, where you're going to have to be able to negotiate maybe a portion of your commission, or not all of it, because you have another agent that says, oh, my buyer will take care of me, don't worry about me. What do you need to get their offers accepted? So there's a wild things that agents have done in the past to get an acceptance. But it all starts with knowing the terms. So here, your 2 points is the pricing and the terms. How much time? And, well, how much time do you need to close? And the financing part too. So cost or no cost can also make you or break you.
And the deposit, if they ask for 5,000 and they can put either 10,000 or, like it says in the contract,
3%.
I will, my client is willing to put down in the offer, you write it, so much more additional deposit once they do the home inspection.
Oh, that's a good strategy too. Additional deposit. So you can initially put 5,000, and then after inspection add another 5,000. So now you have 10,000 as an earnest deposit. But you make moves like that when you understand that you have a strong buyer, because sometimes that can get tricky too.
Yeah, I can.
So far, what ahas, and since we're a small group, I want an aha from each and every one of you. We'll start with Andrew. What aha have you received so far in this class?
So you should go for a, like when you were communicating with the other agents, not like have fear to go with confidence.
Yes.
As much confidence as possible.
Yes. Because they also trust we are all working together. So that agent also wants to know that you're strong and that you're going to get it done, that you're a closer. Because the offer can be nice, but if I know that this agent is not responding, they're not giving me what I need, their lender's not responding, it's not looking good for the team. So if you come in hot and you come in strong, and also who you use as a lender also helps. I CC my lenders when I submit my offers. And my lender is like right behind me. I submit my offer and he's right behind me and say, hey, Clara, my name is George and I'm representing Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Let me know if you have any questions. A simple thing. So now that listing agent knows, okay, these two are on top of it. It takes more than just submitting your offer. Showing communication, showing that you know everything and anything about your client and that you're going to close. Because that's the last thing. We don't want problems, right? So agents will also ask you questions. Some, not all. But that's one thing. So that's good, Andrew. What about you?
Asking questions, and I think we're just being confident. Confident, like in a conversation, not being shy.
Okay. What about you?
first big communication needs to be with your client to find out when they do see that house, are they willing to, like if we submit this offer and the seller comes up with something else, are you willing to walk away? Or how much do you really want this house? So you'll know how much you need to, really, what your, how much do you have to work with for your client if they really, really want it, or is your client willing to walk away from it,
Like in your case, you said that she really wants the house, but she's willing to go see other houses. So you have two things. You either have to get her to fall in. Is the house vacant? Okay.
The one that she likes?
Yeah. So you just gotta get her to remind her of her hot buttons. What is it? This kitchen is upgrade, whatever it is. Mainly the kitchen, that's why I said that. But you can say, hey, you know that this kitchen has white quartz, and a lot of these, it's hard to find a kitchen that's already remodeled. So you gotta get her to fall in love again. The plus side is that there's no other offers competing with you. So you gotta get your client to fall in love with it again, so that we don't go look at other houses. Because sometimes when you overshow, they get mixed up, and they're like, which one has the big yard? Which one has the smaller rooms? And they get all confused, and then you gotta go back, and you don't want to go back 10 houses and show them again. So that part, narrow her down. What is it that's gonna get her to stay with this house and negotiate this house? Now with the other agent, you gotta come in and say, okay, what's your seller's motivation? Do they want to make another payment? Because it's been listed for 100 days. So we might go look at other houses because they really need the cost. So can you go back to your seller and ask them if they'll consider our original offer and see if they'll withdraw it? You can do anything, but also know what you're working with, right? What about you, Clara? What's your aha for the day?
Just make sure, questions from the leasing agent. Remember also always to go to the leasing agent first and get as many questions answered as possible as far as the motivation. And so that I can go back and talk to my client and write the best offer that I can.
So with that said, Andrew, what are the top 5 questions that you would ask a listing agent as a buyer's agent? So you're the buyer's agent. What 5 questions would you ask me as a listing agent before submitting your offer?
How long has it been on the market? Well, that's just saying on the MLS.
That's on the MLS, so that's not one of them. You don't get credit for that one.
Was it one of the things you know today?
Is it what?
Does your seller want to make another payment on the house? How much longer can they wait?
So those questions are when you're negotiating your offer that's already been presented. But I'm asking you before submitting your offer, the questions that you would want to ask that agent is, do you have any offers? Do you have multiple offers? Because that will let you know how much you have to negotiate. Because if there's 5 offers on that house, you got to come in strong. You can come asking for donuts and and the whole thing, right? Now your offer has to be the terms have to be stronger because now you have competition. So your first question would be, do you have any other offers? And then build rapport with these agents. Don't be scared. They are doing the same thing. They did the same thing as you. We all went through the same process to get our licenses. We are not, one is not greater than the other, no matter how many houses we've sold. So don't be scared. They're human just like us. We all have blood, red blood just like us. So talk to them and say, you know what, Clara, by the way, what's your client's motivation? So are they gonna move out of state, or are they downsizing? Like, what is it so get friendly with them to find out. So what's their motivation? Why do they want to leave? Why are they selling? Oh, they're selling because they want to downsize. they're empty nesters. They don't want the 2-story no more. Then you say, okay. So that's question number 2. Then you say, okay, do they have a time frame that they want to move? Do they need 60 days to find another house? Or can they sell quickly? Because, my buyer can close in 25 days if you need it. No, we need 60 days or so. Okay, good. So now you know to put that in your offer, because when your offer is presented, they're going to see on their 60 days and the seller's going to say, oh, that's how many days I need. Perfect. So now that makes you stand out. That's number 3. What else would you ask? Clara? You're my listing agent.
I'm the listing agent.
You're the listing agent. What other questions do you think we suggest Andrew to ask? Besides besides how many offers,
Right,
and the motivation to sell,
right.
and
Time frame.
time frame.
And is there anything else besides that they are looking into or that they need in order to be able to sell their house?
Okay. One key word that a lot of agents use, and you're going to get used to the verbiage. When they say seller's motivated, when you see that on the MLS, because sometimes they'll put it on the agent's remarks and they put it in huge letters. Seller is motivated? What do you think that means?
They're ready to go. They want to move for a certain reason. Maybe their husband or whatever, they have a job in another state and they're ready to go.
So there's nothing holding them. They need to get moving fast. So in those type of offers or type of houses, Andrew, that's where you still ask your questions, but then when it says seller motivated, it means that whatever lands, they're going to go with it because they got to go. They don't got time to waste. They don't got time to they don't want to chase the market. They need to move. So that would be another highlight to see. So in negotiation, we have the 3 P's, which is prepare, present, and position. So in preparation, you're building confidence. That's what I said earlier. You want to feel confidence, ensuring that you can have a smooth process, a smooth closing, knowing that you know what you're doing. You present. Present is moving into the negotiation process, whether they're countering you or you get your offer accepted. And then you position yourself for both parties to close and have a successful closing. Any questions as far as the 3 P's?
I think one of the things that I would keep asking or making sure that my client is really not just only motivated to purchase that home, but also that I am sure that the lender has done all their work to make sure that they're going to be able to close when they need to, and that facilitates my my offer in that, for example, if they are motivated, maybe if they say the 30 or 45 days in escrow, I can say, well, we can even close sooner than that. But because I want to make sure that when I say that they can. Because my lender is not ready to do that. So yeah, it would have to be somebody that I would
So before you say that,
have
you need to check
confidence.
with your lender.
Yeah.
You and your lender are like a married couple. You two are going to be close than anyone in the whole transaction. Why do you think?
Well, because any information that you need or that they have, maybe, you'll ask her or them, and they'll be able to tell you, okay, this, and that.
So when your buyer, Andrew, when you send your buyer to get pre-qualified, let's say I don't have a lender, and you send me to your lender, what information do you think will be necessary for you as the buyer agent? What information do you think you and your lender need to come together? What information would you need from him while I'm being pre-qualified?
For my buyer, his work, right?
I'm sorry?
To make sure that he's worked for 2 or more years.
Okay.
Same job, his credit score.
Okay. That's also, sometimes agents will ask for that. They'll ask for your FICO scores and proof of funds. So always just make sure that you remove their social, all the personal information, address, yeah, address, and just their, so that only the scores show up. So always just remember that, to always take that off. But okay, what else? What information are you going to need for your offer?
To see if
Oh,
they're.
let's see if Andrew, once if Andrew's paying attention.
Oh, sorry.
Andrew needs it because he hasn't submitted any offers yet. So we're preparing you.
Yeah, I don't know his answer either.
Okay. Claire is the veteran, so we're gonna let her slide.
You can't be.
You can't play on this one. What information do you need for your offer from your lender?
To make sure that my client is, I would ask, I need, what do you call it? What do you call that?
Cross qualification?
Yeah. I don't need that yet?
No, cross qualification comes into play when the other agent doesn't feel confident in your lender, and she's gonna say, or he's gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna have my guy look at your guy's work and see if it goes or not. And sometimes it works. Sometimes they have a situation where they need a miracle, and this lender can do it, but my lender can't, and my lender may not feel confident that this person's gonna close. But that's not what you need for your
So you need
offer.
how long they've been on a job? No.
The lender needs to know that.
Okay.
What do
So what's
you
the
need
question?
for your offer? What information do you need from your lender? Because remember, you and your lender are one, right?
Oh, okay.
You guys have to work together
Uh-huh.
because he's going to guide you through the process of what your buyer needs. Your lender's going to tell you when contingencies need to be removed, how soon, but what information, well, I just gave you one, but what information do you need for your offer?
That my client does qualify.
Well, that's in the pre-qual letter, but
Okay.
no.
No. Okay, tell me.
Financing.
Okay.
In your contract, it states whether you put FHA.
Oh, I see.
If it's not FHA,
What does
it's,
he qualify
it's-
for?
yes, is it FHA? Is it conventional? Is it a VA? Or is it cash? Those details, you get them from your lender. The timeline. What if I tell you, I need 25 days, my client wants to close quickly, but then your lender says, you know what, we have to do a rescore, I may have to, this buyer's going to take a little bit of more time, I may not be able to do it, maybe 30. So now you know, all those details too come from that source on how to negotiate with your client, with your offer. Because if this lender tells you, let's say that this lender takes a while to submit their appraisal, but your appraisal contingencies from your counter say that you have to get that done in 10 days. But your lender said, well, I do 15 to 17. You see? So all those details you need to know from your lender, how quickly can he move for you to put those things and implement those in your offer so you can negotiate.
Before you write up that contract.
Yes. Which is negotiate. So I got a little ahead of myself, but preparation. Know your goal. Know what is the motivation of your client. Know your client. Think ahead. Set expectations. Be informed. Obey the laws. Yes, everything in real estate is negotiable, but we don't break the laws. We don't get deposits. One of the things that I always was very particular about, I don't want no money coming through my hands. Where does the EMD go? Andrew, where does the earnest money deposit go, the deposit of the buyer? Andrew, do you have a mentor by any chance? Okay, we're going to connect you with the mentor because we want to make you guys successful in what you're doing. The earnest money deposit goes into escrow. Escrow is the third party that handles all the legal aspects of the transaction. No time should an earnest money deposit cross your hand. because you don't want the liability of that. You don't want people to be like, oh, I gave my money to Sadie. Where it at? Because that's also how fraud and a lot of things get twisted. If the seller tells you, oh, I'll give you a check. No, sir. Escrow will contact you and let you know wire, or you can walk it in. I tell my clients, walk it in or wire. You pick. Pick your poison. My advice to you, don't ever let monies cross your hands. Even when it's like the home inspection. Okay, you can Zelle the inspector directly. Do not touch any of that, because that way you stay out of trouble and out of any misunderstandings. Also, number 7, know your documents inside and out. So, I'm preparing a curriculum for twice a week for contracts, for you to know your purchase contracts and what timelines are on there. Also, because the other agent could say, Sadie, I need you to remove your contingencies now. And you're like, wait a minute. Did you know that, start counting your days, I still got 3 days. So knowing what you're signing and what your client is signing. We don't just send it out because your clients don't know. You are the professional. So you are held accountable. You should know what you're doing. So know your documents inside and out. Because whenever they come back and say, what was this for? Oh, well, let me explain to you, Mr. Buyer. This and this and this is why. So know what you're signing. Your disclosures are important. There's a lot of information. Because a lot of the questions that I can guarantee that you're going to come to me for, it's in your contract. So, questions. Let's see my note. So understanding the right questions to ask important for the negotiation is what we've talked about already. Knowing what is the motivation of your buyer and knowing what the seller is working with so that you can negotiate. So asking purposeful questions provides points that you can negotiate, provides insight, sets expectations, because the clear expectations could be like, oh, I got a chance to get this house. There's no offers. I can negotiate. So with your Sadie, do you have a mentor? Who's your mentor? Oh, okay. So you can, once you get that response back, ask him, be like, should we not play with it, but at the same time be like, well, how far can I get? Because trust, I've stretched, and that's how you learn. Stretch it. Not mess with that agent's head, but mess with that agent's head. In the sense that, well, we're going to go look at other houses. Because if I'm Mr. Seller, you don't think that I want to sell this house? I don't want to be listing this house. Because every time that sign is out there is money for me too. I don't want to be doing open houses. So it's also on that agent too. So that would be your key. Be like, well, we're going to go see other ones. See what she says. Or the person say. Preparation with the right questions also allows you to get to know your client and their goal. So if you have a client, this is why you have, it's like dating. You got to know everything about your client. You need to know the client A, B, and C. I even go as far as knowing who their favorite sports are, if they drink wine, or are they tequila drinkers, do they like shopping, do they like pickleball, what is it that, I go that far. One, because I use it for my closing gifts. But that's what I'm saying, that's how deep I go. I find out with the client, if it's a newlyweds, okay, they're newlyweds, and they're like, yeah, we just want a small house, we don't need a big house. I said, okay, well, do you plan on having children in the future? Yeah, we plan maybe 1. Okay, well, maybe a 3-bedroom might work. 2 might work now, but maybe 3. Well, we don't want to spend a lot of money, we don't want to go that high. Okay, well, in today's market right now, there's a lot of there's a lot of flexibility, and we can probably find something within your budget. So, what I find out, that they're newlyweds, they want to have a baby. They both are good with their, let's say, they're good with their jobs. They're a young couple. So they're not like, oh, we're downsizing. So if you have another mature family, oh, what do you want to buy? Oh, we don't want a 2-story. I'm almost 65. No offense. No offense. But I don't want stairs. That's the honest truth of what I get from my clients that are mature age. They say no stairs. Because they're already thinking far. In 10 years, I'm going to have to sell again because of the stairs. I sometimes say, well, that's a good workout. So, studying your client, whether it's a seller or a buyer, study them. And of course, helps you learn on what to make for your win-win negotiations. So, open versus closed questions. So, open-ended questions are, what additional information should I know? Like Clara mentioned, what else does your seller need in order to move forward? What, is it important to close in 30 days or can they close sooner? How do you feel about that? And close-ended would be, do you need to sell now? How many, do you have any other offers? What is the bottom price? For you, ask them, is the seller motivated? And that will help you. Because it's also going to help that agent think. So what would happen if, so what would happen if, as a listing agent, Clara, are you transparent with the information or do you hold back?
No, I would ask, as a listing agent, I mean, that's one of the questions that, I would always ask my client. I would try to stay up to date as to what their motivation is, because the motivation that they had when they first listed the house may be a little different now after how many days. Now they probably are talking, among each other and say, well, we really got to get this house sold because blah, blah, blah. So I would say, okay, now, the house has been on the market for these many days. We haven't had any offer. This is an offer that looks pretty good. Now, what would happen if you don't accept this one now, we don't have another offer for a while, what would happen?
Mm-hmm. You get them to think.
You told me that you wanted to be in such and such place by.
So as a buyer, give me a scenario that you would ask your client, well, what would happen if, for example, in this case, what if they don't give you the $10,000 that you need in cost? That would be a good point to have with your buyer so that you know. Because I'm being recorded, but sellers and buyers are liars. That has been the rule of thumb since I can remember. And why? Because they hide money. Sometimes the clients will tell you, oh, I only have this much. And then you're like, okay, you're about to lose this house. Oh, look, I got $20,000 over here. That happens all the time. Where they tell you they don't have enough, but then all of a sudden when you're like, well, you're about to lose this house if you don't come up with something, and miraculously, money pops. Oh, my uncle does owe me $5,000, and Uncle Tim owes me this. And they come up with it. So you could ask them, okay, well, what would happen if they don't give you the closing costs? Is that important to you? That would be your next question. Knowing that if she's set on that money and that's all she has, or is she flexible with it? Because the buyers are not going to tell you everything.
Maybe they have also a family member, because that's one question also that we can ask as a buyer agent. Well, if the seller is not going to pay any more than, is there someone in the family or a friend that can lend you the difference?
How much did you ask initially? I'm sorry. Your offer?
$465.
Yeah, but how much in cost?
Closing, all of it, which is, I believe, 13.
You asked for 13 or you put a percentage?
13.
You put 13,000?
Yes.
Your lender told you need 13,000?
Yeah.
I need down payment assistance.
I know, right? And she needs the full 13. She only has her down payment money?
So she's getting a gift from her father-in-law, so he's giving her the full down payment. And she only has like $5,000.
Okay. And she's not willing to accept the 470, even though he's still giving her 8,000, because they only raised it 5, right?
Yeah. 470. And
So he's still taking 8,000 hit, the seller. And your buyer won't accept that? because you got to play with them too. So you can say, okay, when you do that, because I've had some clients where they're like, okay, you're gonna drop it. They tell you what to do, and they'll say, okay, we're gonna drop it 20,000, and I want 10,000 in cost. Bro, you're gonna make me look bad. Sometimes they'll tell you, the buyers will give you some wild ideas to do it, but that doesn't mean you do it. My strategy has been like, listen, my integrity, it reflects on the type of offer that I submit. I said, and I kind of put them in their shoes. Would you take an offer that's about 20, 30,000 less, including with cost? Would you accept an offer like that? No. So then you kind of say, okay, so how about we strategize the price with the cost? So maybe full price. So you did good. Full price, you didn't reduce it, but you asked for cost. But if they're gonna, but in this case, I would tell the buyer, well, they are still helping you. They're still in the red for 8,000, and they're also paying my cost, my commission, because now that could be charged for my services for you. But they're gonna cover that plus my services, and he only raised it 5, which is still not bad. And then go back to your lender and say, and it only changes $10 off your payment. Would this still work for you? So don't just get stuck on, okay, this is what they gave me, and now the buyer says, no, I'm gonna go look at other houses. Help them think. Is that gonna be a problem for you? So in this case, okay, what if they don't give you all the costs? Do you have other monies? Because it's not every house is different, every seller is different. Because you can come up with some of them, there's some hardcore sellers out there too that say, no, I'm giving you nothing. Or they'll give you costs, but they're like, I'm not repairing anything. I'm not gonna fix anything. You're gonna take the house as is. So, knowing how to work with your buyer, because you want to work smarter, not harder. Yeah, it's easy for you to go see another 5 houses, but you might encounter the same thing. Sometimes you got to take the hit and just show your buyer, okay, it's not going to happen until they learn and they see. Like in a competitive market, there's clients that they're like, well, I'm not going to go a penny above what they're asking. But we're in a competitive market. There's multiple offers, sir. So well, I'm gonna give them what they're asking, and that's it. Okay, we lost the house. What do you mean? Well, there was another house that came 15,000 over, and they didn't want to budge. So sometimes you will take the hit, and it's okay. Some offers will get rejected because your buyer wasn't willing or able to do it. But in your case, go back to your lender, because the changes that you make in that offer also reflect on what he is doing. Because you can go, let's say the buyer says, oh, I'm down, okay, your counter was 500,000, but your lender says, wait, I can't go no more above 480. That's it. So always go back to your lender for those questions. Like, is this gonna hurt them? How much difference a payment does it make? Because if you put it in perspective for your buyer, they're gonna be like, you know what, $10 is not a big difference. Then I'll take it.
Mostly what clients are worried about is the monthly payment.
Right.
So if you can show them by just taking or doing a little bit more, that it's not going to be so much. Because if you tell, well, it's just $10 more monthly, do you think you can do it? Oh yeah, we can not go out to dinner so much or whatever.
You put it in perspective versus just saying, oh, you countered at 470, they countered back at 470. The 470 might scare them, but when you put it in perspective, it's, oh, well, they're giving you all of your down payment, or whatever your cost, but it only changes this much. So when you get a counter or numbers are changed, then go to your lender and be like, hey, lender, this is what I was countered on. What do you think? Can we do this? Always revert to him, because you two are a team to make this close. Your lender practically makes you, because if that lender cannot close, you don't have a deal. So any changes that are done, you revert back to him or her. So we have a scenario. We can work as a team since we're a small group. List clarifying questions to ask your client to apply your new knowledge or open and close questions. Do you guys have a scenario on your participant guide?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can one of you read it?
You are representing a single buyer. Your client is renting her present property. Like any first-time buyer, she is looking to you to guide her through the process. The asking price for the home she really loves is 175. I was like 175. The house appears to have evidence of a roof leak, is listed as is, and is correctly priced. Your client would like to keep her payments as low as possible since she still has a number of student loans to pay off. She wants to write an offer for 155. There has been quite a bit of activity on the listing.
Okay. But this is a buyer that's currently renting, correct? Okay. And the highlight that you already see is that it needs some roof repair.
Yeah.
She wants to keep her payments low, so she's limited with money. Okay. Andrew, what would you do? What would you, out of this scenario, what is what would be a concern? Knowing these facts, what would you tell your buyer about this particular house? Because remember, they might love the kitchen, they might love the bedrooms, they might love the bathrooms, the backyard. But when you get there, there's certain things. So you know that the seller's selling it as is, right? So what would be a concern that you might want to address to the buyer?
Well, first of all, it says that the roof is leaking. And she's already in debt, right?
She has student loans. But she said, but I want to offer 155,000.
And it's priced.
At 175.
What would you say to that buyer? Remember, always disclose, right? So what would you say as your buyer? I'm your buyer. As your buyer, would you tell me to move forward? What would you tell me based on my scenarios? You know that I only want to pay 155. I have 3 student loans for nursing, and so I have limited money, but I want this house. But you have some key information. So what would you advise your buyer?
I'm not sure what I would do.
See?
So what was the question again?
What would you advise? Yeah. What would you advise me to move
I would
forward?
just tell her, like, at the moment it looks like the property is priced correctly. And it's being, I don't know. Let me see, hold on. She wants to write an offer. So she wants to write an offer for 155, but she wants to keep it low.
So we're working on the first P, preparation. And in preparing, what does that look like? So we know we know that I have student loans and that I only want to pay a certain amount. What else involves in the preparation? Because right now, so one key thing for my new students is when you go look at houses, your job is not to look how beautiful the marble floors are. Your job is not to look at how beautiful the faucets are. When you go look at houses, always look up. Look around. Because you want to see leaks. You want to see any, is there, especially in new homes when they settle, is there any cracks? Is there any like problems that are gonna come back in your inspections? You wanna see what might be an issue for the appraisal. So you go in the garage, who cares if it's a tandem? I mean, obviously you're selling it, but what I'm saying is for your information, if I'm in the garage, what do I wanna see? Clara, what's in the garage 99% of the time?
In the garage?
That sometimes is called out in the appraisal, especially FHA appraisals.
Well, I guess termites
What
in
else?
in the garage itself?
Yeah, not termites.
I guess it would be the roof, the top of the roof, how it was built.
The water heater.
The water heater.
The water heater is always the thing that's called out in usually appraisals. Why? Because it's not strapped. So when you go and look at the garage, okay, is it insulated? No, okay. Where are the washer and dryer hookups? Okay, they're here. You see a water heater, it's not connected right. It doesn't have the straps. Those items you're giving the agent, because sometimes people list houses and they don't do a thorough walkthrough. You should have smoke detectors in every single room. You should have carbon monoxide. That's by law and that's in your contract. But some agents wing it. Guess what? When those items are not there and you have an FHA buyer, the appraiser is going to call those things out. And then what? There's a reinspection. That reinspection costs $150 and it delays your closing. Why? Because the appraiser has to go back out to the house. So in this scenario that we read, the roof is an issue. So you got to tell your buyer, hey, if the buyer sees, okay, there's a lot of leaks in the top, do you think that there's something wrong with the roof? We can ask, hey, listing agent, do you know anything about the roof? No, I don't. Seller says, well, I patched it 2 years ago. Okay, then that goes back to your buyer. Okay, you know what? In the event that the seller does not want to give you any credits for this roof, do you have money on the site to fix it? Or you can ask for a roof cert. How much life do we have on this roof? So that was your key right there, is that concern. And then you can ask the buyer, is that important to you? Do you have the means to fix it or not? Because if she says no, how much is a roof? $10,000 for a new roof. I don't got that money. You're going to sell your client a problem. Those items are part of negotiation. If you see stains, we don't want to assume that everything is gravy and that those stains are, we don't point them out and be like, oh my God, there's a black stain. No. You be careful with your verbiage. We are not mold inspectors. We are not roof inspectors. Even if Andrew has been in construction, but you are a real estate agent, so know the hat that you're holding. Because even though Andrew has been in construction for 20 years, but guess what? You didn't build this house. You haven't worked on this house, so you don't know. I always tell my clients, then maybe you should consult a professional. They see a black, never say mold. Why? Because you're not a mold inspector. Just because you see a black stain doesn't mean that that's what it is. You know, kids paint all the time. Made it look like something that it's not. You just never know. So whenever you see certain things like that and the buyer says, oh my, even though it's evident, like that's a stain in the ceiling, you're like, well, you don't say, oh my God, the roof is, something's wrong with the roof. No, you tell them, okay, you know what, then we should get a roof inspector and make that part of your inspections. Termite could be an inspection. If the seller's not going to give you that, you can ask for that. That's what she was asking. What did you ask for in your offer? Because termite is one that you could have asked in your offer if you have no competition. Sometimes we ask for roof certs if we see that the house is like in the 50s. So,
and sometimes you can, depending on your buyer, I don't know about this buyer, sometimes the buyer will say, you know what, don't worry about the termite inspection, I'll pay for it.
And you can use that towards your package of your request for repairs. You can add, if you have your own HVAC guy, you can put that report with the home and on the RR it shows, you know, things to be repaired or replaced, and then it says where it says attached And you can add attached home inspection, attached term of report, and include that in your request for repairs or ask for credit. So for that is knowing your client. The highlight of this exercise was knowing your client. So you know that I don't have means. So would you still sell me this house, Andrew, if you know that I'm a single person, I have 3 student loans, I just started working in the hospital, and I'm in a budget. So what would you tell me as your buyer?
I would recommend not to.
So you would say, keep in mind that there may be a roof situation. Always be careful with your words because you don't want to scare the buyer either. Because again, remember that we are not contractors. We're real estate agents. So if I say, well, there's something wrong with the roof, then you would say,
Do you have money to fix it if you were to buy it, if you were to move on with this?
how much do you think a roof is?
It's about 10, 15 grand.
I don't have 10, 15 grand for a new roof. So you would say, okay, well these are your options. Because you have to help your buyer think. So, but if I really want this house, then you would say, well, you may need a roof inspection. I can recommend you to do a roof inspection or ask the seller to do a roof inspection. That way you know exactly the condition of this roof. Because it could be that maybe, the winds out here are really bad. So let's just say it was just a patch. It's not a big deal. You don't want to kill the deal either. But you can negotiate that. You can negotiate it in your offer and say, hey, I want a 2-year roof cert or a 1-year roof cert to satisfy your buyer that the roof is in good condition. If the roof cert comes back and says, no, you need a whole new roof, that's part of your contingencies. Or you can go back and tell your buyer, hey, it actually needs a lot of work. Do you want to proceed with the sale or do you want to cancel? But if you're already telling me that all those things are an issue, then you can advise me. Do you want to proceed with the sale? Do you want to proceed with your offer? Or do you want to go look at another home? Yes, Clara.
Have you, because I'm studying for my licensing, have you ever requested, before you write the offer, have you ever requested from the listing agent a copy of the TDS? Is that something that you may have seen done before?
No, bless you. No, but one thing that I started doing was that I asked if there's any insurance claims. Because that can be an issue.
It can affect your...
It can affect the insurance because it can affect your insurance. So when an insurance claim could be they patched the roof or there was a flood in the house and they called the insurance company, not necessarily a fire. But that insurance, it stays for, I believe it's 5 years. I know it's like 3 to 5 years that it stays on the house. So let's say there's something that happened under that time frame. So now when your buyer goes and looks for insurance, their policy is going to be higher because there's already a claim.
You ask for that before you make the offer?
I asked when I'm doing my,
Or you ask them
you
to
call,
buy it?
see, best practices, this is presenting, my bad.
Or you
But
asking the
I asked
seller that,
I asked the listing agent that.
the listing agent?
When I asked my motivation, when I ask my questions, one of those questions is there, because that's the job of a listing agent. You should know all the ins and outs of that house.
And they
That's
have
where
to
you ask your seller all your questions. So I would say, one of my questions when I get a listing is, do you have any insurance claims? Because what is the point of going through escrow and now your buyer doesn't qualify because the insurance is too high? Another one is the Mello-Roos.
Yeah,
Does anybody know what a Mello-Roos is?
I got one.
yeah.
Andrew?
No, I forgot. I knew.
Mello-Roos exists on new construction, new homes. That is a tax that the builder put it on the clients to pay versus them paying for it. And that tax is for curbs, is for infrastructures, for light posts that were created for that community. That tax is usually about maybe 20, 25 years that stays in the house. So if you have a house, a brand new construction, so if your client likes a house and the house is only like 15 years old, even 15, that house, what are the chances of that house having a Melrose?
A new construction,
15 years old.
it still could have one.
Mhm.
It depends on how long it was built.
Now, pop quiz. Where would you know that?
You can go to the, we go tax, where you pay your taxes,
You don't need to go there, but it's
But
on your
yeah.
tax roll, so you
Right.
see that it's on there.
on your tax.
But I have an easier spot.
Ask.
No. Yeah. Yes, you can ask. It's in your NHD.
Oh, it's on the, MLS.
No,
It's
not
not
always.
on?
Not always.
Oh, it's
Agents,
not always on
agents
there.
don't always put it on there. Some agents that do their due diligence will place it on the agent's remarks and say there's a Melrose for X amount of years.
Yeah, 'cause I was just.
But if you submit an offer
Yeah.
and those taxes are, our standard tax is 1.25%, right?
It depends.
In certain areas, but our standard
Yeah.
is 1.25. New construction, I think is like 2. And I read, I think it's like 2.8, something like that.
Yeah, I have mine, in my community, it goes by either size of the home or size of the lot or both. And
So
depends.
questions like that will also help you in your offer, because let's say this house has it, an example, you could say that, because of this Melrose also on this property, it also affects my client's qualification. So I really need this price. Your goal is to hold on to the original price that you submitted.
What about
But
the
things like that.
HOA too, you would need to know.
HOAs are also a good one.
Yeah.
And you can negotiate that too. Hey, Mr. Buyer or seller, how about you pay me a year worth of HOA? You can negotiate that. You can negotiate anything, but it's also case by case. So let me ask you this: if you have if the market, remember the market goes in waves. There's a down and there's an up. So let's say now the market is popping. We're getting anywhere between 5 to 10 offers. The houses are lasting maybe 1 to 7 days on the market. Would you submit that offer to me? What would you submit?
I would probably submit 470 and no closing costs, or even 475.
So know your market, because that way you are able to negotiate. Good job. Best practices when presenting. Now, we don't typically present our offers to the listing agents, but it's also good to, when you submit in your emails, highlight, help the agent out. I usually put like a small little paragraph speaking about the buyer and the buyer's motivation to liking this house. And then I put sales price, what the EMD is, codes of escrow, so because they look at that and that's what catches their eye of what you're negotiating. But always be, respectful. Be excited when you talk to them so that you're able to get more out of them, more information out of the agents. Your tone of voice, and then also sometimes agents will not tell you everything, but listen to key points that will help you in submitting your offer. Because it could be like, if you tell them, do you have multiple offers? They'll be like, yes. Okay, do you have any over asking? And they'll be like, there's a pause. Pay attention to you can't see their body language, but their words. How are they saying it? And you're like, okay, there is, but not that high. Because they sometimes won't tell you. They can, but most likely they'll just tell you above asking. But you don't know how much. But you can kind of like, okay, well, if I negotiate the price a little bit here, but then I can do this here. How long do you want to close? Okay, then I can change this, so you can negotiate better. Yes.
When they say like it's above asking, right? says, I can't go above that. So would you put the asking price and then say, that you would pay the close?
Yeah, I mean, you can learn when to walk away, because in her case, the buyer has no money. So in any other market, this buyer would not be able to buy, right? But this buyer can buy right now because it's a buyer's market. What determines a buyer's market, Andrew?
How fast houses are selling at the moment.
Okay. So right now, what's the average that you see that the houses are on the market? Okay. Okay. When your morning starts, who jumps in the MLS?
I try.
Your Gavar tells you how many new listings, how many are expired, how many are impending, how many are sold. You gotta eat, sleep, dream, everything real estate. You gotta know exactly how many days are on the market, because that will help you for submitting your offers. But you also gotta know where you're at, what are the stats, know exactly how your community is moving. Because this is your community. You don't need to learn LA. You don't need to learn what's happening over here. This is your community. And remember that every market is different. How you negotiate here, you can't do this in OC. In OC is like, no, know where you're at. So here, study the market. First thing you should do in the morning, I don't even check my emails. I check the market. Where are the rates at today? What is the market saying? How many went pending? You have 30 houses that went new on the market, but only 10 sold. So that lets you know there's not many buyers. Right now I feel like it's a buyer's market with no buyers. Because buyers are a little bit, they're playing kind of hard to get. But that's where you motivate. You knowing what you're working with, they don't know. Remember that. They don't know. That's one of the things I had to learn. In my mind, I'm like, everybody knows this. And I sometimes have a hard time teaching because I'm like, everybody knows this.
That's because you've been in it.
But that's my misconception. And sometimes, like, even in your social media, I have conversations with other people that are not in the business, and they're like, what is that? Like, I had a conversation with a friend, and she's like, we're talking about equity. I said equity, and she goes, what's equity? And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what equity is? She didn't know what it was. But I assume that everybody knows. So I encourage you to act and move as if nobody knows anything. Because your clients don't know. Even if their grandfather or their mother and their dad, like, they are in the business, not even in the business, but they bought houses and they know, always let them know. How you bought your house is completely different than how she bought her house last year. Last year was a different market. We had 7 and 8%. Now we have 6%. Back then you couldn't, it was like pulling teeth. You could not get anything accepted. Nobody was giving cost. Right now we're giving cost. During COVID, the highest counter offer that I received was $275,000 over asking. The house was listed at $899. And I'm like, wow. Money is relative. Money's out there. During COVID, I was stretched in all kinds of areas. I sold in Bakersfield. I sold in Simi Valley, which is Ventura County. I sold in Fullerton, North Fullerton, Laguna, in Orange County. I drove. The freeways were free, so I was able to move. But I realized that everybody was saying, there's no money, there's no money. And I'm like, where are people coming up with money? And people were paying over cash. There's no financing.
The different mindset, because people
Mindsets.
thought this was COVID, something else might happen, so let me hit now.
Yes.
Well, that's the mindset because I've heard that in COVID, I got to get this now. I got to get it now because to people, that was like the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So
But it's all relative. Like, whenever somebody tells me, is it a good time to buy? This is a nugget that I will give you. I always tell my clients, it's not when it's a good time or a bad time. When is it a good time for you?
Yeah.
Because right now, everybody will be like, oh, it's a great time to buy right now. You can get money, you can negotiate the offer, you can get closing costs or whatever. But what if Claire's like, yeah, but I don't even have for the down payment. I only got $3,000. How am I going to buy? My credit is like this and like that. But let's say 2 years down the line when people are saying it's not a good time, don't ever use those words. Don't say bad words. Bad words is, it's not a good time to buy. No, it's always a good time to buy. Why? Because Andrew can buy today, but she can't buy right now. Or she can buy in 3 years, but Andrew can't buy. You know what I'm saying? So it's relative. Where's your position? That's why studying your client is key. Find out where they stand. Because there's a lot of people, when you do cold calling, open houses, you meet people all the time. But out of the 20 people that are coming your path, they might not all qualify. They all might want to, but it's not time for them. So know when is your time? When is the time for you? You just started a job. You only have 1 year in your job. And you were a student before that. Can you buy right now? No. Andrew has 5 years in his job, but he only has $3,000, and his credit is 555. Can he buy right now? No.
Oh, he has what?
He has 5 years in his job, but he has a 500 FICO score and $3,000. He has a job.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean? It's relative. Clara has 2 years in her job. She has 10,000. Her FICO, but she has 2 years on her job. She has 10,000, and her score is okay. Can she buy now?
Yeah.
Yes. So it's relative.
Yeah.
Positioning yourself, acknowledge and affirm common ground, that you're all on the same page. You ask your what and how questions, what works for you, and positioning your process to close. Know when to walk away. In this case, if you already used all your tools and you told your client they're good, they're bad, and the ugly, they're who, what, where, when, and why, and she still wants to go look at homes, then know when to walk away and say, okay, I can try to make this one work if you really like this one, but if you want to go look at other ones, then we go. So know when to walk away. On your next guide, I think we have, it's already 11. Any questions? You have one more scenario. We can do one more scenario, or we can call it a day.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if you're the listing agent, you have a seller, and they have a price, and they're stuck on that price.
Your seller?
They're stuck on that price. It's been 6 months or 7, and even an offer comes in, but it's lower, and they're priced right at what the market said, but their house isn't selling. And you, as their agent, you're saying, maybe we should lower it a little to get more buyers, see if they qualify, and they say no. What do you do for that?
Find out their motivation. Why are we selling? Excuse me, how much time do they have? Like, do they really need to move? But if they tell you, no, we have time, then ask how many, are you getting showings? If you're getting showings, always ask your agents for feedback. Thank you for showing. What did your clients think about it? And agents will tell you. They didn't like the carpet. They didn't like this. They didn't like that the floor squeaks. The kitchen is outdated. I literally screenshot those and send them to my client. This is the feedback, so that they understand, because every client, their house is the best house, right? So you got to tell them, there's a lot of carpet. They don't like the carpet. Or the kitchen is outdated. So what I do is that they'll say, but, so-and-so is smaller than mine, and they got more for their money. Okay, well, let's go look at so-and-so. So-and-so has plantation shutters, has white quartz, has tile and laminate flooring. It's move-in ready. Mr. Seller, this is why this one sold. But yours still has original kitchen, has original range. It needs paint. Your house is not move-in ready. Because there's clients that will tell you, well, blinds are not that important. Plantation shutters are cheap. No, they're not, sir. Plantation shutters are expensive. So that's why this one sold $20,000 more than us, because we have basic carpet, we have an outdated kitchen. So then you gotta let your client know. This is what we're competing with, but we cannot compare, because when you get a listing, you get comparables, right?
Yeah.
So don't always be like, oh, the other one down the street sold for $50,000 more. Why? Did it have a pool? Did it have solar? Did it have tile roof or shingles? Did it have tile or carpet? Did it have real wood or fake wood? And then familiarize yourselves. Go to Home Depot and find out what laminate looks like, what wood looks like. What is the difference between ceramic tile and porcelain tile? Find out what tile roof is and what are shingles. Find out what mahogany wood is and what is maple wood. Like, familiarize yourself with these things, because those things also you will need in your marketing remarks.
And if you're the listening, you see it's not, you can suggest that to that your client, and maybe they'll think about doing something
Yeah.
simple.
I've
that
had
won't cost a lot
sellers
of
where
money.
they're like, well, maybe I should put a stove and a dishwasher. And you'd be surprised how one thing can change the whole thing. Investing a little bit of money can make a whole difference. So if you spend $1,000 in appliances, and then all of a sudden the buyers are crazy. So sometimes buyers will be like, oh my God, it has brand new appliances. I'm sold. And they'll go because of the appliances. But remember, guys, I think there's another class. You can negotiate everything, but also learn when to walk away. One of my highlights, I think I already told you guys know the story. I lost a deal because of a refrigerator. It was a Viking refrigerator. It was one of those that kind of like blends in with the cabinets and everything.
Oh, yeah.
It was nice. It was nice. But the seller did not want to release it. She wanted to take it with her. So my client gave her, I think we went like 25,000 over asking. My client was putting like 150 down. Everything. I had everything. I had I think I removed the inspection contingency. I removed the appraisal contingency. I put in 25,000 as earnest deposit. I had the whole shebang. And the refrigerator
Just a deal.
was the deal breaker.
Wow.
So, any questions
Especially
from you
with us
guys?
women. We get, we see
You get
something
attached.
that- yeah, we're like, I want that.
Yeah, she
You
wanted
know.
that refrigerator. It was a pleasure
Thank
to
you.
share with you guys. Any questions for me?
Thank you.
No? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You guys know where to find me if you do have any questions or any trouble, anything at all, feel free to come and knock.
It's fine with you.
Thank you very much. Wendy.
You're welcome. Class dismissed. There's donuts. You guys want any donuts?
Thank you.
Take them because if not, that's what's
Oh, it's time for another class, right? I need a break though. I had to crush that thing because he was acting kind of funny, and the way he was running, I couldn't listen to what she was saying.
Was it a cricket or a cockroach?
It was a cockroach.
A cockroach.
And the way he was jumping
bad, not too
around
bad.
and acting all weird.
Was that okay? Or was that okay? Or was that amazing?
Oh, it was amazing.
I didn't
Yeah.
even feel it. The air kept